The Edmonton Oilers do pick up a point. However, they fall 3-2 in St. Louis to kick off a brief two-game road swing through the Central Division. Hello, everybody. Good evening. It is the Oil Stream Postgame Show. Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev with you. Matt Kassian, our game analyst, will be joining us shortly, as it didn't start out the way they wanted to in St. Louis. But you know what? They do get a point, and they'll move on and get ready for a big game against the Dallas Stars on Wednesday. St. Louis always gives Edmonton fits whenever the Oilers are there. Certainly better than the last time they were in St. Louis, although that's not saying much considering how poorly they played back in February in St. Louis. Tonight, better performance. Result not so satisfying with the OTL. You can text us 780-218-9999. And of course, if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel, get in on the nasty chat. I see people already hopping in there and not too happy with that result. But on the bright side, they'd get a point. Weird night. Lots of goals reviewed. Lots of goals, especially for the Oilers. They had two taken back, and then you know what? At the end of the day, it's a 3-2 OT loss. We'll dive into all of that. So be sure to get your thoughts in, and I will read as many texts as possible all throughout the evening as we go through it. Let's start with the scoring summary and the game stats from Edmonton's 3-2 overtime loss. We begin with the first period. Mattias Ekholm, his 9th of the season from Connor Brown and Sam Carrick. Good fourth-line goal there. You saw Ekholm pointing to Brown, made the nice play, was looping around, tucked it back to Ekholm. He buries it from the point. Carrick doing some dirty work out front. He was also digging in there. So I like to see that. I actually like to see, A, Ekholm recognizing the play Brown made, B, the hard work that those guys did down low to work to get the puck to the point, and then continuing the hard work in front of the Blues net and screening Jordan Binnington and Ekholm, who's just, you heard it on the broadcast, Jack and Louie talking about how he has been putting it together offensively, so he gets his 9th, and you get a fourth-line goal. I thought that that line actually played pretty good when it was out there. It looks like Connor Brown is starting to come around, and that's a good thing. And you know what? I joked he's elevated himself to Mike Pekka status. That's great. But this is the time of year where you need all your veteran guys, especially a guy like Brown, who has had effective NHL seasons, 20-goal scorer a couple of times, start to figure it out. And I think the way he's handling the puck is showing that the confidence is starting to come back. So 1-0 Edmonton, 7:05 into the game. In the second period, Brayden Schenn gets his 16th of the year on the power play from Falk and Hayes to tie things up, 8:15. Into the period. We did have the reviews. We did have Evander Kane had a goal called back. We had Ryan Nugent-Hopkins who had a goal called back. I'll just say this about the Nugent-Hopkins goal that was disallowed. Yes, we saw Zach Hyman, stroll through the crease, get a piece of Binnington, maybe knock his stick. But Binnington he kicked his head back because he knew he opened up his legs, and Nugent-Hopkins tucked it between the legs. So soft call. And then the Oilers tried to challenge the one Schenn goal, saying that Skinner, or at least Skinner, you saw him adamant he was interfered with, but that would have been a soft call if they called it back. However, in today's NHL, who knows what the hell goalie interference is anymore. Regardless, the Oilers have 2 called back, and then they lose a challenge trying to get 1 called back against the Blues. Doesn't happen. 1-1. After 2. And then in the third period, Brayden Schenn on the 2-on-1. Kasperi Kapanen feeds it over. Kevin Hayes, the secondary assist. You had the pinch by Bouchard. It gets by him. Darnell Nurse. You hear Joaquin Gage talk about it all the time. He doesn't like when the D-men go down on odd man rushes. And Nurse kind of went down. And then sure enough, Schenn tucks home his 2nd of the night, 17th of the year. 1:44 in. The Oilers, with some fight, they had a great third period, I thought, controlling a lot of the play in the Blues zone for a good chunk of it, and they do get the equalizer. Leon Draisaitl, his 39th, on an absolutely fantastic play by Connor McDavid. Ekholm, the 2nd assist on that one, so 2 points for Ekholm. McDavid to strip Colton Parayko or not allow him to touch the puck on the rim from Draisaitl, then the spinorama, then the little backhand nifty pass to Draisaitl. He's got a wide open cage. He buries. So the Oilers get a point, take it into OT, controlling the puck, control of the possession in overtime. You heard the guys talking about it, the bouncing pucks, the bobbles, and all of that. It was happening in OT as well. And then the miscue. Ryan McLeod goes in to take the puck away, does a good job stripping it on the wall, tries to tuck it back to Matthias Ekholm. He misses it, sends in Brandon Saad, who comes off the bench. He tucks it home between the wickets of Stu Skinner. Saad's got 25. 3-2, St. Louis wins it to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. 2:09 into OT. The Oilers do collect a loser point, Bettman point, whatever you want to call it. They pick up one and now have 95 points on the season. Game stats: Edmonton outshoots St. Louis 38-29. Faceoffs, the Blues better on this night, 56.1% to 43.9. Edmonton's power play 0 for 2. PK goes 3 for 4. Hits 29-14 in favor of the Blues. Block shots 15-9 in favor of the Blues. 8 giveaways for St. Louis to Edmonton's 4. And then the Oil with 20 takeaways. St. Louis with 12 officially. Let's welcome in our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Oh, Cass is not here yet. He'll be around shortly. He's fixing things up. Cass, are you good to go? Give me a thumbs up, big boy. He's good to go. Let's get him on here. Matty Kassian, our game analyst. Hit us up in the text box, 780-218-9999. And then, of course, via the nasty chat, I'm going to get to as many texts as possible tonight in Edmonton's 3-2 OT loss. Cass, they gas a point. A couple goals disallowed, but the St. Louis always feisty and tough against Edmonton in St. Louis. And how do you look at it? More so they blew a point, or, hey, at least they were able to salvage one?
Ooh, oh man, that's actually a tough question because I'm kind of torn between the two. Because I thought that goalie interference call was soft. And if that goes in and it's a 2-0 game, it might be over.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm kind of like, yeah. And with that being said, they were down a goal. They come back. So I'm like, well, they salvage a point because they were down and they find a way to battle back and get a point out of it.
Fair.
At the same time, they kind of squandered it because they had the lead. They score first. They controlled the play off the start, and they really took too many penalties. And some of them you had to call.
Draisaitl's for sure.
Draisaitl's for sure.
Both of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of put you on your back foot a little bit as well and gave some of the momentum to St. Louis. So I'm torn between the two, Tommy. I don't know if there's a definite answer to that. If I had to say, I would lean more towards the squandered side of it because you should have had the game.
Yeah.
You should have had the game. Now you did a good job to get the 1 point out of it, but you probably threw this one away a little bit.
St. Louis lost to San Jose 4-zip on Saturday. That's another thing, too, we should point out. But they get up for the – it was also mentioned on the broadcast, too, that they play their better games. The Blues in the locker room feel like they're at their best when the level of competition is heightened. And then they obviously faltered. What was it? I think Jack described the losses to Columbus and San Jose this year, and they got outscored heavily in those games against some absolute bottom feeder teams. So – I'm with you. I'll go squandered a point because, yes, although the disallowed goal on the Nugent Hopkins one was sus, as the kids would say. They really didn't put the pedal to the metal and get – and good on Binnington. Binnington made some really good saves.
Yeah, he did.
I'll give him credit. I'm not going to say he goalied the Oilers. It looked like they were trying to wrap the puck around a lot on him. Did you notice that, Cass?
Well, you had the one, I think the two that stand out, I think you had the one in overtime and then the McDavid one where Binnington took the penalty on him. And if Binnington doesn't take that penalty, it's probably in the net. Like he knows he's sliding way too far out. McDavid's got way too much speed, so he clips him. I don't know. Did it happen aside from those two times?
I think Janmark tried one, and then I felt like Connor Brown went around the net a couple of times, even Hyman. I don't know if they were trying to get him. I don't know if there was a scouting report where there's something where they saw that when you take it around the net, maybe he loses his spot. I don't know. Or if he overcommits, beats me. I know he can be a really good goalie when he wants to be. I thought tonight he made some pretty big saves. I thought Skinner made some big saves too. So I thought we were watching
some really good saves. I thought even earlier in the hockey game, I thought Stuart Skinner was rock solid. I thought he had a good game today.
Skinner had no case on that challenge, by the way. I didn't think that there was enough there to, and he doesn't get animated very often. He's a very
Yeah.
level-headed guy. And he was like pointing at his pad, telling the bench, review it. Do you think that was a courtesy to him, or they actually might have seen something there?
Maybe they saw it. Maybe they saw it. I didn't see much of anything on any of the angles that I looked at. But then again, I didn't think, like with Binnington's, I don't think his pad was hit hard enough to push it all the way open. I think he pushed his legs wide. He was going to try to flop down on the puck. Then he realized he wasn't going to get it, and the puck goes in. I don't think that one should have been goalie interference either.
Same.
But yeah, I mean, Skinner's wasn't interference. Or the St. Louis's goal wasn't goalie interference. It was the right call.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of shocked that they challenged it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking, like, did Chris Noblock say, you know what? If Stuart Skinner feels like he was interfered with, I trust him. I'm going to do this for him. Let's see what happens. But at the same time, you got Noah Segal up in the press box, or not in the press box, pardon me. He's in like the little command center that they give them outside the locker room. And he's got all the angles of it, and he's looking at it, and he's trying to tell them, should you review it? Well, yes, it looks like, or no, don't. So I don't know what that process of communication was like. But ultimately, they didn't have much of a case, and sure enough, the goal held up. So
yeah.
All right, 780-218-9999. Text us, and if you're watching on the EST YouTube channel, get into the nasty chat. Hey, how about that EST merch on the broadcast today? That hat that Cass is wearing, well done, sir. Well done. You love to see it. EST, we travel very well, and it looked really, really nice on the broadcast. I just want to give a shout out to I met them. They came by Hudson's Bourbon Street when they were here in town and said hello. Very nice couple. And we'll be there on Wednesday, Cass.
And they got lots of GCs.
Lots of GCs. I'll have fresh GCs ready to go on Wednesday, I do believe. I do have some left over, but they're all like $5 ones. So should be great on Wednesday. Come by, say hi. And we'll be doing the show from there. All right, let's go into the inbox. People not too happy. I understand. Squandered point, as Cass and I have dubbed it. Let's go to Haas. Haas says, load of crap. Game should have ended 4-2 Edmonton. Signed Haas. Atif is getting in here. Wheels says, Tommy, that second period was like bear spray. It sting to disallow those goals. What is your opinion on that? Atif, unfortunately, I think the softest one, like Cass said, was on Nugent Hopkins. I think that should have been a goal. The high sticking one on Kane, legit. He's up to 20 goals or 20 games without a goal. Cass, how worried about Kane's lack of goal scoring and finish lately are you? Because that's a career high at 20 games now.
Yeah, would have been nice for him to get that one.
Yeah.
You could almost see the relief on his face, and then, with the immediate waving off, you could see that. I think the disappointment there too. He needed that, and that was like exactly the type of goal that he needed. When it's just not going, you get a piece of a puck and it bounces off you twice, I think,
I
think
and it
goes
hit
in
the ice too, and it bounced forward.
Yeah,
it was really weird.
It was actually a really weird bounce. Like to get that direction to tip it and to have it bounce towards his body. Like it was a weird. Physics is weird sometimes, and that was a little bit of a weird bounce, but he needed it. And I will say this, though, the last couple of games, Tommy, he has been playing better.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, like he has been playing better. He's been much more physical. He's been much more involved. And kind of go back to the LA game, like I think since that game. So let's call it the last 3 games. I think he's been more engaged and I think playing better. But it's got to irk him. I mean, this is by far the longest drought of his career. He's playing on the third line. He's got to be frustrated with it. He's got to be frustrated. And I think you could see that a little bit. It'd be nice for him, Tom, to pot at least 1, maybe 2 before the playoffs start. I would think to have him go in with some momentum because he certainly doesn't have any right now.
For him to take that fight with Tyler Tucker, good fight, good on Tucker because Kane's a tough guy. Is that frustration as well, or do you think he was just obliging to get his team going? How does that scenario play out on
I would think it's more frustration more than anything. Like I think that's an example of his frustration. Now, does it help to try to get the team going? Yeah, sure. but it wasn't like, the team was down 2-0, 3-0, and the momentum swinging all the way of St. Louis. Like
Right.
it was more, I think, for him than anything.
Right.
Um,
Gets
I
the
mean,
extra.
again, just trying to find ways to be engaged, maybe a little bit of that frustration pouring over, and I don't mind it. I don't think that I usually don't. So
I know. Me too, pal. Me too. I'll get to this one from Jeffy. Jeffy texting it says, that's a blowout win for the Oil with competent reffing. The fix was in from the beginning on this one to keep up the pretense that the Blues have a chance at the playoffs. That's a win every day of the week. The league just didn't want it that way. Cass?
The fix is in. No, the
That's
fix
some
isn't
NFL
in.
writer level
Right. Yeah,
stuff.
they
But
wrote that
yeah,
script on that one. That's
totally.
exactly. They planned it all. They planned it all,
Mhm.
Tommy. Bettman was sitting there in the booth. You just couldn't see him, like when they showed the booth. He was in there.
He's
Yeah,
writing the
just
script.
writing the script, being like, no, this needs to happen. This needs to not happen. No. Give me a break.
Yeah.
I listen, the league does like having storylines. Of course they do.
Right. But like this, no, come on.
Not like this. Not with St. Louis in the regular season. Now, if this was Toronto
Ooh.
and this was Edmonton and this
Ooh.
was like to get Toronto into the playoffs or something,
Different story.
different story. My radar would be up a
Oh.
little bit more.
Oh,
Everybody's radar would
Cass.
be up.
Of
But for
course.
St. Louis, right now, way outside of a playoff spot, the points don't help them, but they're not getting there.
No.
I highly doubt they get there. So no, there's no script writers today. They took the night off.
Tube sucks. Text in. Point. Well said. Let's go to EA. EA not happy. Says Oilers losing to non-playoff teams. What else is new? Justin texted says TG, that defensive responsibility from 97 can't happen anymore. Silly pinch from 14. Game over. Brutal. Where would you place the mistake on the game-winning goal there, Cass? Because
That's Ekholm.
yeah,
That's a bad
yeah,
read. Hey, Ekholm's been fantastic. He's been very, very good. It was a mistake. No, he should have sat back on that. Shouldn't have jumped in. Yeah. Worst case scenario, if he holds back a little bit, is this a 2-on-1?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Over commits. It's a mistake.
Jumping.
He was jumping. It's a
He was
mistake.
ready.
Now, if he gets it, they're going the other way, and you got like a 3-on-1 back the other direction. So you understand a little bit what he sees in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
But in the moment, looked like a good offensive opportunity. In hindsight, not so much.
Yeah, like a receiver that sees nothing but daylight, taking his eye off the ball, and he gets the drop. So, all right, I'm with you. Hockey Girl texting in. Hockey Girl saying, it's a miracle that the Blues ever lose a game with those refs. Kent in Red Deer says, it was great to see the EST hat on the Oilers fan. Gene interviewed in the second intermission. Yes, sir, Kent. Let's go to Dirty Curdy. Well-deserved loss. So many idiotic plays tonight throughout. Leon with 2 lazy penalties. Vinny serving pizzas. Kane needs another maintenance day. The number of plays that dies on his stick and passes to ghosts was atrocious. Power play over passing. Binnington seems to own us. That text via Dirty Curdy. And if you're wondering how Binnington does against Edmonton, well, he's been pretty good. That was his 10th game versus the Oilers. He improves to 6-3-1, 288 GAA, 900 save percentage with 1 shutout going into action tonight against Edmonton. But it does pick up his 6th win in his 10th game lifetime versus the Oil. Anything on what Dirty Curdy said there? Pretty hot, hard on the team, Dirty Curdy, with that text. Idiotic plays throughout. Talked about Leon's penalties. Desharnais serving pizzas, says Dirty Curdy. And then Kane needing a maintenance day because of the plays that die on his stick. Passes to Ghosts. Power play over pass a Cass. And then I just talked about Binnington. What would you say?
Yeah, well, Binnington was really good. Power play for the Oilers wasn't great today. Not overly productive. Could have had a chance to win them the game, but didn't. Desharnais pizzas. I'm trying to think back of if he had any today. I don't know if he had any. trying to think, Tom. Can you recall any?
I actually recall saying, "Hey, that was a nice, smart, calm play by Desharnais out of his zone."
Yeah, I don't know about that, if I agree with the pizza comment. I can't recall any of them. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed it. Some of the turnovers from a team standpoint, they weren't overly scrambly today and turning pucks over. I will agree with the Draisaitl penalties, especially the one. I mean, you can't have your stick in a guy's legs.
No,
not going to go well. Usually doesn't go well. Does he have to not take penalties and find those situations where he doesn't? Yeah. You gotta find ways to play defense and to forecheck and to do all the things without taking the penalties. Now, if we look overall, I guess 1 for 4. You killed the other ones off. You killed off a 5-on-3, so it wasn't like that absolutely crushed them, but it did, I think, affect their momentum and their ability to play, because at times 5-on-5 they were rolling tonight.
right?
Third period probably the best. I thought there was really, for a couple of the penalties, where they started to play a little bit and then they just took another penalty, and it just kind of seemed to pile up on them a little bit over the course of the game.
Good job on the PK, the 5-on-3, the 4-on-3. They really did handle that well. And then they did get some momentum stacking up McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman together. All right. I think Big Uke sent in a screen grab from the overhead shot. And it has Toropchenko with his stick. It has to be against Skinner's pad, because the thing looks like it's bending a couple of inches. And maybe that's what Stu was talking about.
Yep. In which case, and I didn't see that shot. In which case, according to how you called it earlier, with a stick in the crease affecting Binnington's pad, then it should have been waved off.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that.
Maybe they didn't have the overhead view.
Yeah,
maybe they didn't have. Maybe Bettman was in there writing the script after all, Tom. Maybe we're wrong.
Fair enough. But it's one frame. And I don't know, obviously the NHL, the War Room can slow it down. But yeah, you could just see it's torqued on Skinner's pad. I didn't see it when they were showing it in slow-mo, but that's probably... I didn't think Stuart Skinner was crazy for saying that something was... I don't think he makes crap like that up, but when you watch it, you're like, I didn't see anything there. But this frame that Big Uke has shows the stick being torqued in the pad of Stu Skinner. All right, let's go to SJ Nutt in the Coot, and he says, "Hey, Tommy, quick question. Why is Ryan McLeod?" No, that's not a typo. Cass, do you want to take a swing at why is Ryan McLeod?
Who is Ryan McLeod?
Yes.
Why is Ryan McLeod? What is Ryan McLeod? I thought McLeod was all right tonight. I don't...
He hustled.
I don't have the answer to why. I'm trying to think of what I would say to that, aside from
well played.
Well played. All right. Thank you for texting into the show.
Why is Ryan McLeod?
Yeah.
Oh, well played. That is very funny. Fat Dad texted, said, Blues broadcast did a spotlight on the Oilers' bottom six before the game, giving them glowing reviews. Then they scored. Ken texted, it says, Tommy, the refs and Toronto robbed the Oilers. Both goals called back should have counted. Hyman barely skimmed Binnington, and that's interference. Yet when the Blues stick interfered slightly with Skinner, that's a goal. Total BS, Fat Dan, with an angry emoji as well.
Yeah.
I'm with
Dan,
you.
Fat Dan.
Or so
remember,
that was Ken. My bad.
Or Ken. Okay. Ken, remember, the Edmonton Oilers still had a lead at that point. Both those goals. And they still gave up that lead.
Mm-hmm.
Because they took a penalty. So the refs didn't screw them. They ultimately did it themselves. The refs didn't rip the 2 points away from them. They gave it up. They gave it up. So
you said squandered.
Squandered. I get that you're upset about it. I'm upset about the one call not being a goal. I don't like that. That to me wasn't goalie interference. But I don't think it sunk the Oilers game. It didn't. They still had plenty of opportunity after that. They still had the lead after that, and they gave it up. So it's still on the team. It's on the Oilers, not on the refs.
Let's go to the nasty chat. I got a bunch here that I want to get to. Fish Tank says, weird game, entertaining though. Brandon McDonald said, absolutely ridiculous comments you guys are reading off. People need to grow up. Brandon, this is oil country. It gets emotional. And just these are the texts that we get. And unless they're so egregiously over the top, we won't read them. But for the most part, people getting their venting done, and that's good. Feels good. Drop a serenity now if you need to. But just another night where the Oilers fall and should have won, but didn't, and people sounding off. It's just something that Cass and I have grown accustomed to in 5-6 seasons working together. No big deal.
Yeah.
Just another night.
Just another night.
Dauber77 says, power play one line hasn't looked great. Need to stop trying to pass the Leon. It's too obvious. Other teams are just shutting it down. Okay. Dauber not happy with PP1. Power play tonight, 0 for 2. Cass, it is the second best power play in the NHL.
Yeah, and it's been really hot. Today I don't think it was great.
No, it wasn't.
What were they heading in? They were like was it like 12 for 20 or something? No, not 12 for 20, like 12. I don't know. It was around.
I'll go through the game log here.
The last while. It's been really solid. Tonight it wasn't great.
No.
The thing about the Draisaitl option is typically that's what teams give up because it's the lowest percentage play. And against the Oilers, they have so many options that you're kind of like, okay, well, what are we going to give up? And the reality is, if a team executes on the power play, you're giving something up because they have one more player than you. You're trying to isolate people, create 2-on-1s, and create opportunities. And most teams actually try to give the Draisaitl play up because it has to go through the most sticks. And again, it's the lowest percentage out of all the plays that you could give up against the Edmonton Oilers, which is why they go there so often. At times, do they try to force it, even when it's not there? Yep, they do. I just don't think they executed tonight well on the power play. Like the rest of the puck movement wasn't fantastic. Like they weren't overly threatening frequently enough. Draisaitl aside, I when they do struggle, it is when they're forcing it to him when they shouldn't. Again, at times that is what's there, and teams are like, okay, well, we're going to try to take this other stuff away and kind of leave him and hope we get some sticks in there to disrupt, which is kind of what happened tonight.
Cass 9 for 24 in the last 7 games, the power play.
Yeah, so that's pretty. What is that like? Math is hard.
That's got to be like in the 40% range.
In that range, it's over 30, over 35. It's pushing that 40%.
Yeah,
which is that's pretty good.
And then you go, well, they had the Ducks. They only went 1 for 3 against Anaheim, 2 for 3 against Ottawa, 2 for 5 against Toronto, and then they had power play goals in 7 straight. They were 0 for 1 against Colorado. That was the last time they went 0 for, and then the game prior to that against Washington, they went 3 for 4. So power play, I understand where the frustration comes from because they do get too cute, but they get it done most of the time. All right, let's get YouTube Trev in here. Trev, what's going on, pal? You as fired up and upset as most people? Hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's no, honestly, not really. Like it's a bad read by Ekholm, but you can't really. He's been one of the best players for the Oilers, not just defense, but one of the best Oilers in general. So yeah, it was a tough loss. Obviously, I understand the frustration, but I mean, it is what it is. Like they you guys exactly said it. They squandered it. I'm not sure if I agree with the line change. Like they were rolling the same lines the last 2 games, and today they decided to switch it up. So I don't know if Noblock saw or was got what he was wanting from that. It didn't look like it because coming into the third period, the blender was out again, and all the players, McDavid, Draisaitl, they stacked them up again. But it was a tough loss. Obviously, I think overtime losses they're not fun. As a fan, I hate it. I really do. So I get the frustration. I don't really know what Stuart Skinner, and we're about to hear from him here. But as far as the I when you guys were talking about it, I feel like Knobloch had to have been like, he put maybe a little bit too much trust into Stuart Skinner. I don't know. So it was interesting to hear what Cass had to say on that. But it was a tough loss. They'll be back. It's one game. They're okay. They honestly are. Oilers fans, you just gotta chill, because that's what I'm doing right now. Everything will be okay.
There you go. There's YouTube, Trev. Cass, you want to stick around for Skinner and Knobloch, and then get your assessment going into Wednesday night? You want to do that?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do that. YouTube, Trev, talking about it. Stuart Skinner spoke to the media following Edmonton's 3-2 OT loss. Let's hear from the Oilers netminder.
That night and the strangeness of it. I mean, there seemingly was a review every 5 or 10 minutes or so. Maybe just take us through the rhythm of that game.
Yeah, it was a long game. I think the refs had a couple, tough choices to make. Sometimes the game kind of happens like that. But yeah, you just got to do your best to keep momentum on some sort of way. Momentum wasn't on our side today. We obviously, I thought the guy interfered with me. Didn't really hard for a ref to see it, but yeah. And then obviously we got a penalty. Then we're on the PK for basically the whole second period. Gave up a 5-on-3, 4-on-3. So momentum was definitely on their side, and I thought we did a good job on being able to gain it back.
Did you feel the stick hit both your blocker and your right pad there?
Yeah, I felt the pad, like he kind of stuffed me in the pad, and then because just how his stick's made, he's a pretty tall guy, so the shaft didn't allow me to get my blocker kind of down to the puck. So that's what I was frustrated with. Really hard for a ref to see it, so I understand his point of view, because you can't really see underneath my blocker, but it kind of catches my hand and I'm not able to make a save. So, but I mean, that's the game. I mean, there's tough calls to be made, and sometimes it doesn't go your way.
Yeah, you can't blame him. That's a very tough job to do. And after the TV timeout, you and Connor McDavid went over and talked to the ref. What was the explanation that he gave you? Did he just not see it?
Yeah, I think he just kind of saw that there wasn't a ton of action between me and him, and his explanation was just he wasn't trying to interfere. He was trying to get a tip in, and I mean I'm guessing that a lot of people who do that aren't trying to interfere with the goalie. They're trying to obviously get a goal in. So, but yeah, again, like I'm not blaming the ref. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that position if I was him, for sure.
What was the difference tonight, Stu?
I think it's a great question. I think we lost momentum in the second period. I think we gained it back in the third. And then in overtime, I thought we just kind of made a mistake, and I wasn't able to bail a guy out. And that's work for everyone to do. I honestly think, I mean, the way the game went, we gave up a couple odd man rushes that kind of took us apart, especially for them to get the lead in the third period. But besides that, again, like we showed our maturity. We came back. I didn't get a shot for like the rest of the period after that goal. It kind of felt like, and then we get back and 2-2, we get a point out of it. So a lot of credit goes out to the guys in front of me and how hard they battled just to get a point. So.
All right, there's Stuart Skinner following his team's 3-2 OT loss. He elaborated on what he felt, what he saw. He even admitted Cass on the one that was challenged, stood up. He said the stick got jammed in there, and then they had a conversation with the officials. So life goes on. So he's not even that mad about it, really.
He kind of said it. You know, sometimes those bounces happen, and the responsibility still is on the team to respond. And it was still a tie game. Or I guess you're down one at that point. And you had to battle back for it. And so to a certain extent, they did respond afterwards. Now, I think what probably makes it more frustrating, both for the Oilers and Stuart Skinner, as well as for us and the fans watching, is that you had one taken away. Like if that was the only one that was reviewed tonight, we probably would be like, okay, we kind of understand, we get it. But it's just that one that was called back earlier in the game makes it, that's what makes it sting a little bit. But I mean, Stuart Skinner's very real, and he's a realist. You had a mistake made in overtime. Skinner wasn't able to bail him out, and I don't want to blame Stuart Skinner for it. I thought had a solid game. They did give up a few too many odd man rushes. He had to make a couple saves on, and really the other goal as well, aside from the power play goal. I guess that wasn't an odd man rush in that one. Sorry, they gave up, or the 2-on-1 goal. Can't really fault him. Yeah, can't really fault him on that one.
Going down for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know why. That was kind of a half. Again, I don't like guys going down in general, but he was. the way that he pushed over, and I think D White had mentioned it. We haven't talked about it yet earlier in the nasty chat, but I don't know why he left his feet. Kind of left his feet.
The first thing I thought of, it was like a half in between left his feet.
Yeah,
half stayed up. Like, and there was a goal last month that happened where it bounced off. I think it was against Seattle. Bounced off his ping ponged in his glove and shin pads, and it went past. I think it was Stu Skinner that night. But we talked about it, like the not committing one way or the other. And as soon as that happened, I thought, oh, Gage was going to hate that one because it was the same thing, right? Like
I do too. I mean, it was, it wasn't a good play by Kulak on that. Nope. Caught in between. It was a tweener.
I want to get to this one. Donnie M is adamant, feverishly texting in via the inbox. Says, hey, Tommy, any chance Nugent Hopkins will be a game changer? You're worried about Kane. Nuge is invisible. Why is Nugent not on your brutal list tonight? How many games has Nugent been zeros across the board again? Come on, pick apart, support players, really. Put Henrique on power play, move Nugeless off. Trev kidding, 1 loss, last 10 games, go ahead to playoffs, losing tabs or Nux. Something not acceptable. So Donnie is fired up. I will read Nugent Hopkins' stat line. No points, even, 4 shots, 1 hit, 18:45 time on ice, 50% on the dot. Had a goal taken away tonight, which should have counted, I thought. It was a very soft call on the review. And then also was very good on the PK, especially on the 5-on-3. I think what was it, like a minute and a half of 5-on-3 time, and Nugent Hopkins had the first shift where they were really good. So anything for Donnie M, who does not like Ryan Nugent Hopkins, clearly.
Run him out of town. Run Nugent Hopkins. Trade him right now. Listen, you wouldn't be saying that if that goal stood. This
is true.
That's kind of it. And zeros across the board. I mean, he was even too. So can't say. I get that you're upset that they lost, but I'm not running Ryan Nugent Hopkins out of town with you, Donnie. I'm sorry. You're going down by the quad in the gymnasium by yourself for this one, pal.
We're go streaking. Donnie M, he is a hot tamale tonight. All right, let's go back inside the Oilers locker room. Let's hear from head coach Chris Knobloch.
Storyline, what was kind of your analysis of the ones that happened and the way they went?
Yeah, I thought both of them were very close. Obviously, the one that we challenged, they didn't go our way. What we saw was the forward stick into Stu's pad enough that there was flexion in his stick. You couldn't really tell a situation like that how much that influenced, but just the fact that there was enough flexion in his stick, and then it beats him on that side where he's coming from and where the pressure is, that we felt that was a pretty good opportunity to challenge that, and they didn't see it the way we did.
Obviously, you guys disagreed with that. Did you feel like that lingered a little bit too long and you guys weren't able to establish your game plan as quickly as you guys wanted?
Well, I think in the second period it was just how many penalties we had, and that just took away our ability to build something. And, after we got the kills done and we were able to play 5-on-5 in the third period, I thought we did a pretty good job. But, anytime you take that many penalties, especially in that short a period of time in the second period, it's tough to get your guys going.
Is that a game very tough to get into rhythm with because of all the stoppages and all the reviews and all that? Is that a tough game to find rhythm a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Unless you're a guy in the penalty kill in that second period, like there's guys that weren't out there for 5-6 minute stretches just because of the back-to-back penalties, and then there might have been a shift, and then there was a lot of guys who weren't involved, but it happens, and I thought everyone handled it well.
Sometimes it's after penalty kills, sometimes it's at different points in the game. What's kind of just the thinking when you throw Connor and Leon together, and the idea that they can, in this case, turn into a tying goal and at least get a point?
Well, after penalties, having 2 superstars sitting on the bench, and after we have a kill, it's we want to get those guys out there immediately. Another one is offensive zone face-offs, and anytime we're chasing the game late and we need some offense they tend to have more shifts together. But, they came up big tonight. The play that Connor made coming off that wall was incredible, and obviously Leon's shot. But, it was just unfortunate. I thought a lot of the progress that we made in the second period was we weren't able to play that 60 minutes just because of the amount of penalty kills that we had.
There's head coach Chris Knobloch following his team's 3-2 overtime loss, explaining what he saw on the goal that stood up, the first Braden Shen one when he challenged it. We heard Stu Skinner explain it, and then Big Uke sent in a screen grab where you could see it was Toropchenko's stick kind of torqued, bending because it was stuck in the pad of Stu Skinner. All right, Cass, so Edmonton does pick up a point. We'll remember that, although they should have won. I think all of us agreed they could have. They played good enough at times to win. If they got that goal to stand, the Nugent Hopkins one, maybe it changes the outcome. Bottom line, it didn't happen. They took penalties second period and then had some bad turnovers that ultimately led to goals against and a 3-2 OT loss. But if you're Edmonton, you're Chris Knobloch, you're on this team, you're going into Wednesday night in Dallas, a very good hockey team. What are you saying to yourselves, and how are you getting pumped up for that one? Because you're in for a stiff test.
Well, I think first you're going to be able to go out and eat in Dallas. So
delicious.
You're going to go to the Capitol Grill.
Trulux.
No.
Capitol Grill?
Nope. Capitol Grill.
I love
and
Trulux.
They're all going to get a ribeye, probably cooked medium or medium rare, depending on what they like.
That's good
They're
stuff.
going to get the iceberg salad. They're going to get the lobster mac and cheese because it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to get lots of energy, and they're going to be so excited from that meal that they're going to get up for a huge game against the Dallas Stars. It's going to be a test. Going to be an absolute test. I mean, really, there's a number of teams that all could be contenders in the Western Conference this year, and Dallas is one of them. Yep. I mean, the trade deadline, I think, went well for them. Their defense has been now solidified a little bit more. They've had some young talent come up, like ex-Kamloops Blazer Logan Stankoven, who has been playing really well. It's going to be a test. This is we talk about measuring stick games, and I know we throw that around a lot, but it really is. I mean, you're getting an opportunity here to play against one of the best teams in the Western Conference. You're coming off of a disappointing loss. Where I think, squandered it. And I think Knobloch's assessment was correct. And we said that before his interview, and that the penalty kills really crushed their momentum tonight. You don't want to have that happen against a Dallas team that's good. They kind of have all the pieces there, Tommy. And again, the Tanev trade, I think, just solidified their back end to a point where they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs by whoever ends up playing them. And it's an opportunity for Edmonton to get up for a game against who is, I believe right now, and as of tonight, is the best team in the Western Conference.
Cass, a couple of big games coming up against some very good teams out of the Central Division in Dallas and Colorado. You go enjoy some succulent meats that you create on your smoker, and then maybe you and Mandy make a lobster mac and cheese. I don't know. And then you fuel up for Wednesday's game and the pre and post game show, because we're going to need you, pal. We're going to need you to do some heavy lifting.
I will be there, and I'll be ready. And the thing is, Tommy, I don't even try to make the lobster mac and cheese because I just know it's not going to be close. It's not going to be close. So I don't try, but maybe I'll make a steak. We'll see.
Okay. I like that. Cass, great work tonight, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
That's our game analyst, Matt Kassian, helping us break down the 3-2 Oilers loss to the St. Louis Blues in overtime. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev with you for about 20 more minutes. And I should add that portions of this are brought to you by 100.3 The Bear, Edmonton's best rock. Listen to Nielsen with Yukon Jack and Scott McCord every morning. And check out Jess Jackson on your drive home from work every afternoon. Great to be partnered up with our good friends over at The Bear. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scores as we cruise through the stretch drive. 8 games on the schedule. Tonight, Columbus, 4-1 winners over Colorado. Whew. How do you think those post-game shows are going right now? In CBJ, probably loving it. And then in Denver, not so much. Not so much. Are they freaking out? Maybe. Pittsburgh, 5-2 winners at MSG over the Rangers. Sidney Crosby for the 19th season over a point a game player. Absolutely incredible what he has done. One of the game's all-time best. Let's go to Philadelphia now. The Flyers lose 4-3 in OT to the Islanders. Detroit, 4-2 winners over the Tampa Bay Lightning. That one in Tampa. Toronto, all over Florida. They were up 5-1 at one point. They win it 6-4 against the Panthers. That game in Toronto. Winnipeg, 4-3 winners in regulation over the LA Kings. So the Jets snapped their little skid, and the Kings continue. Well, I don't know if they're struggling down the stretch, but they've slipped and fallen into a wild card spot. And now all of a sudden, St. Louis is 4 points back of them instead of 5. Actually, St. Louis is 3 points back. Bad math by Tom. I own that for sure. And then one game still going. Seattle leads San Jose 3-2 midway through the third period in San Jose. All right, let's get YouTube Trev on here. Where are you, pal?
I'm right here, Tommy. Wait.
There you are.
There we are. What's up?
There you are. You ready to do the big save of the game?
Oh, you want to do that right now? We can
do that. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go to the big save of the game presented by Chris Boyle. Business owner, tax saver, Chris Boyle strategically works with both businesses and families with strategic planning and risk management, like a goalie protecting the net, shielding your paycheck from unforeseen events like illness or hospitalization, and ensuring your family's financial stability in the face of unexpected circumstances. For a chance to win playoff tickets, they're so expensive. Scan the QR code in the corner of your screen if you're watching. And if you're just listening to us, whether it's on iHeartRadio or TuneIn or our EdmontonSportsTalk.com live stream, go to ChristopherBoyle.net/postgame show where you can enter to win playoff tickets for the upcoming postseason. So I'll leave that QR code up there for a little bit. Trev, who and what was the big save of the game?
Yeah, so there was it was nice that I actually had a few options this game, unlike the last one where I kind of had to scramble and I don't know, it wasn't the best answer. But tonight, unfortunately, there was one like right off the hop. The Oilers were kind of crushing it, and then the Stuart Skinner's first save of the game. This isn't it, but it was an honorable mention. I forgot, and I couldn't see who the player was. I think it was Buchnevich, so that's why I'm giving this one an honorable mention. But I think it was in the third, the save of the game that I'm going to give it to. Stuart Skinner robs. We know this guy, Jake Neighbors, former Oil King, a really solid player, and he's kind of. I don't know. A lot of players a lot of Edmontonian players, they just show up to play against Edmonton, and Jake Neighbors. Of
course they do.
Yeah, Jake Neighbors is one of those players. He looks lights out. He's one of the most noticeable players every time the Oilers, and well, with that being said, he is one of their best players, so that's why. But it was in the third period, partial breakaway. It was a very timely save, kept them in the game, and they eventually, if it wasn't for that save, who knows? They could have just lost in regulation, but obviously Draisaitl scores, they go to OT, and at least they get the loser point. But yeah, it kept them in it. It was a timely save. It was a good save too, and it wasn't just one. I think he made two saves at that. So it was a good save. So that's your save of the game. Stuart Skinner on Jake Neighbors.
There you go. Christopher Boyle, big save of the game. Scan the QR code in the bottom of your screen there to enter to win playoff tickets. And then if you're listening, you can go to ChristopherBoyle.net/postgame show and enter to win tickets to an Oilers playoff game. Absolutely tremendous. Okay, let's go to some more texts here. Nate Uchaz, Big Uke saying, I love the nasty chat. Oh, nasty chat's something else some days. I love it too. Let's go to Shaggy in St. Albert. Says, Oilers find a way to lose. Don't blame the refs. Oilers had most of the play. Could not finish on their chances. Sloppy game. Draisaitl with a couple of dumb penalties. And Ekholm with the flub in OT. Guess we should be happy. We at least got the loser point. I will give them a pass on this game. Not their usual loss where they don't put in the complete game effort. Thought effort was there. Just some bad puck luck. That's from Shaggy in St. Albert. Let's go to Andy Pandy, who follows up, says, agreed with the one texter who said Nuge has lost his way the last month. I'm worried after what happened to him during last playoff run. Puck is dying on his stick. He's missing some huge chances. He's got 17 this year, same as Fogle. He needs to pick up his game offensively down the stretch. I am getting nervous, says Andy Pandy. The Liquid Beaver says 9 for 24 is 37.5%. Thank you. So Cass and I were kind of close trying to do math in our heads, which we're clearly not that great at. Thank you, Liquid Beaver. Daniel texting in says, this is just a general question, but do you think on any EST shows it's possible to have someone from the other station on as a guest? Maybe, probably not though. Vice versa. They're our friends though. Daniel, those are our friends over there. We love them. So, but highly unlikely. I'll just say that. Let's go to Greg, who says, hey, Tommy, Oil need a video guy with 20/20 vision. Brutal challenge. However, the guys looked like they had a good time in where last night? St. Louis last. Hopefully they play Guilty on Wednesday. Love the shows. Thanks for doing this, man. Greg, hey, we're always here. Old station, new station. This is what we love to do, and we'll keep it going. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, Greg. Let's go to this text. Says, weird one tonight. Glad they got the point, but they started out good in the first, spent the whole second in the penalty box. Half the third, they seemed tired, just wanted to call it a night. Power play was hot garbage tonight, which is strange for them. Probably left a point on the table, but well, on to the next one. Nook from Edmonton. You got any there that you want to get to? Maybe the nasty chat, Trev?
No, I don't, but I would like to chime in just on the Nugent Hopkins talk. Like there's certain things he does that doesn't show up on the score sheet, and you can go back to the last time the Oilers played the St. Louis Blues. It was, and even Jack Michaels talked about it. It was the back check heard across the NHL, and Ryan Nugent Hopkins, just a huge back check, stick lifts, Robert Thomas, on a breakaway. They go and they eventually, they get the tie. They tie up the game. It goes to overtime. Connor McDavid wins it. Literally the next game against the Boston Bruins, who was it that saved the empty netter? It was Ryan Nugent Hopkins. So there's a lot of stuff that he does that doesn't show up on the score sheet, and I think that's often Nuge, just because he's not putting up points. And with that being said, yeah, he had a monster year. A lot of people are he's not a 100-point player, and I wouldn't say it was luck, but it was a career year last year. And, so a lot of people are saying, Nuge he's not going to be that player, and he won't. And if it wasn't for last season, this would be on pace Nuge's best statistical season for points. So, he set a high standard last year. And so a lot of people are just really expecting that. And unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. But there's so many stuff he does that's just often overlooked. And so many, the players talk about it. Zach Hyman, so many of the Oilers players just say how crucial he is. And you need a guy like Ryan Nugent Hopkins on your team. So there's a lot of stuff that he does that doesn't show up on the score sheet. So I just had to I don't know, the Nuge hate. I don't buy it. I don't like it. But everyone has their opinions. That's just mine.
And that's fine. Well said, YouTube Trev. Very well said. I don't hold back when I say I'm a big fan of his game, and I'm a big fan of the person as well. He has hit a lot of posts lately, and it would be nice to see him chipping in offensively more, but he is very highly respected in that locker room by everyone on that team. And I'm glad that you brought up those back checks. Well said. Attaboy, YouTube Trev. All right, a couple more here. Let's go. Spruce Grove Rick says, boys, pick on Twitter showing pretty good stick flex, pushing Skinner's pad. Nice EST hat in the building. Spruce Grove Rick, brother of Leduc Dan. Yes, sir. Spruce Grove Rick. We got a nice high quality, high res screen grab sent in by Big Uke, and we were talking about that. We also heard from Stu Skinner and Chris Knobloch talking about that, and I think myself, Cass, and Trev also agree that the goal that was waved off that was scored by Nugent Hopkins was a soft one. So thank you, Spruce Groverick. Let's go to Ryan from Sass. Says, evening, fellas. Weird game with bad bounces. It seems like that second disallowed goal saved the Blues' life. Lost the special teams battle. I'd avoid Nurse and Vince as a pair on the PK. Seems like it results in a goal against when they're out together. They went back to their regular pairs on the later PKs. Thought the Oilers controlled most of the play 5-on-5. Power play had a tough night. Any idea why they flipped Fogle and Perry? The explanation, Ryan from Sask, on that was certain matchups. We're hearing Chris Knobloch talking about how he shuffles up his lines for certain matchups and things that he sees from the opposition because the blender's been used heavily in the last few weeks, and we haven't seen a lot of consistency, more so pairs than trios, and that was kind of the explanation we got pregame from Knobloch. Let's go to Mark in Lethbridge, also sending in the picture of the torqued stick from Toropchenko. Yes, Mark in Lethbridge. The pictures do work on the new text line. And Skinner did talk about it. Let's go to Adam from Lloyd. Says, hey, Tommy, Cass, Trev. Weird game tonight. Goalie interference call was questionable on Hyman. Dry's penalties were bad. Yep. Teams seemed to get frustrated, sag a bit after the goals were called back, and they let St. Louis back into the game. Power play, not good tonight. Dry's line seemed to miss Fogel's speed. Extra points squandered, as you said. Blues were hungrier. Oilers need to start cranking it up in these tight games. These are the kind of games that lose you a playoff series. It would also be nice to see some stability in the line combinations at this point in the year, too. Come on, Nobby, says Adam from Lloyd. I didn't mind Corey Perry's game, but yeah, Fogel is fast. Like, he's a faster skater than Perry. He has that kind of, he can blaze a little bit, whereas Perry's more methodical, for lack of a better term, with his skating and where he gets to the ice and how. And but I actually thought Perry had a couple of really nice chances. So we'll see. I'm sure the lines are going to look different on Wednesday because that's just what Chris Knobloch's been doing basically for the last little while. Fergie's prostate says, Tommy, thanks for lending Stoff a tie. And he had a fresh white shirt on. Yes, Fergie, you're welcome for me lending him a tie. I have not lent him a tie, but I appreciate the props. This text says, I'm new. How many points to the playoffs? One more, probably, depending on what happens tomorrow. It could be, they could clinch by Wednesday. If they won this one, I think it was as soon as tomorrow. So very, very close to getting that X by their name. Let's go to the Reverend. Says, hey, do you guys know if Knobloch has ever used the 11-7? I'm not saying it is a good idea. Just curious. That's from the Reverend. He has been asked about it. Does not prefer it. Likes the traditional 12-6. And when it was brought up a few weeks ago, he kind of poo-pooed it in a very nice, thoughtful way. Let's go to Todd in YYC. Can't believe I have to text in receipts. TV Burkle getting blasted by Cass in the nasty chat. Swifty is being straight nasty at the Golf Factory. That was playoff-esque hockey. Thank you, Swifty. And then let's go to Reno here. It says, the D was loose, gave up too many odd man rushes. Bush was again giving up pucks in their end, and it cost him. I wasn't going to say anything, but Trev, I thought Bouchard was coughing up the puck a lot in the third period. Wasn't going to say anything, and he wasn't the only one.
Yeah,
but I was like, ooh, tough period.
He absolutely was, and I'm surprised he hasn't. I've been keeping an eye on the nasty chat, and I haven't seen a heck of a whole lot of comments directed towards him. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that. I missed the second goal, Tommy. Was that just another bobbled puck that went over? Was it not Bouchard, or did he just misread it? Whoa!
It was a pinch, and it did bounce over him, and it led to the 2-on-1.
Yeah, I don't know. What else?
Nurse didn't play it that well.
Yeah, that's one thing. Honestly, it was annoying me, and you can't really blame it on the puck, and I'm not going to. But it's hard to find a flow of the game. Really, the puck was just bouncing almost every shift. It was tough to watch. They were talking about it all game, and I don't know. It was kind of annoying, but whatever.
It happens. I'm just double checking that was Nurse. I'm pretty sure it was Nurse on that. It was Kulak. My bad. He kind of half went down. I need to correct myself. It was Kulak on the second one, not Nurse.
That's all good, Tommy. Question for you, though. Do you think Troy Stecher comes in anytime soon? Has Vinny Desharnais really moved the needle to, has he done anything to, solidify his just being a game day player? I don't know.
An everyday player?
Yeah, that's what I meant
I think that he's clearly the sixth guy. And I don't think for just seeing how they've handled this, Stecher is the extra D-man. And they're not moving Desharnais out of the way for Stecher to play. And that's just the sense I get. Do I think Stecher is a better D-man than Desharnais? I think Stecher has certain qualities that he brings to the table that are better than what Desharnais does, but 6'7", tough, takes up space, helps the PK, built up confidence this year. I think there's a certain level of trust between the team, coaching staff, and Desharnais, and I don't know if they want to mess with that. unless he plays so egregiously bad. So Stetcher is a good option, though. I have nothing against Stetcher at all.
Yeah, it's definitely a safe option for sure, and it probably just comes down to if he does something miraculous in his next game played, if he does play another game. But yeah, it looks like Vinny is the option they're going to go with.
I like on Wednesday, Trev, I think that they stick with Desharnais. Like Stetcher is better against smaller, quicker teams. Dallas can play big boy hockey, and I think maybe that's suited more toward Desharnais. Although when they were in Dallas earlier in the season, I thought Desharnais had some rough shifts, but I'm guessing he stays in, and Stetcher's just the extra guy.
You're probably right, Tommy. You're probably right.
All right, maybe. I'm always wondering if I'm wrong. I question myself. I'm kidding. Let's go to this. Are you ready to do the player of the game?
Let's give it a go.
Let's do it. Let's go to the Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Who is the player of the game? YouTube Trev.
Okay, well, it kind of sucks because it was going to be Matthias Ekholm until the last play of the game there, and I feel like I'd get some heat if I picked Matthias Ekholm. So I'm going to give it to Stuart Skinner. I talked about it, the big save of the game that he had, and he had plenty of good saves tonight. Just looking at his stats, 290 goals against average and a 97 save percentage, so not too bad, but I really think he kept him in for the majority of the night pretty well. Cass talked about it. He had some big saves early on and kept them in throughout the whole game. So Stuart Skinner, I think it's pretty solid, and no one else really jumped out at me, so I'm going with Stuart Skinner tonight, Tommy.
There you go. There's your Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game. If you're looking to get into the market or maybe sell your place, check them out, DamonBunting.com, or on Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Let's go to a couple of nasty chats really quickly. Casino Dealer Jay says, Tommy, do you think the Oilers can still catch Vancouver for tops in the Pacific? I mean, they still kind of, I guess, make up a little bit of ground, but that second point, losing out on that doesn't help. Maybe. Why not? They've got 9 games left. Yeah, I still think so. They need to have a strong finish to the week, that's for sure. And you're going to need to win at least 2 of this next 3 coming up. So you got to get a win in either Dallas or 1 at home against Colorado, and then you definitely need to beat Calgary. But yeah, I think it's still possible. Let's go to Taylor from Indiana, who says, Vinny was becoming one of my faves and lately has just been pissing me off, to be honest. And then Abutsky says, enough already of the Desharnais hate from YTT.
Yeah, I know. I've been that's something
You're
I've been
all over him.
I am a little bit, and I apologize, but I'm sorry if you just. He's the one player I have my ISO cam on every single shift. I notice him when he's out, and I don't know. Maybe I am too hard on the guy. Everyone seems to love him, so I'm clearly in the minority. Abutsky, it's just my thoughts.
That's fair enough, buddy. Fair enough. I like this one. It says, pick on Nuge for donuts tonight. He scored but got screwed over. How is that his fault? All right, let's go to Donnie, who says, hey, Tom, please have Murray McCourt and another guest on EST to talk about the Masters golf. Please have golf people, please. Donnie, we will definitely have Murray on. And his show gets going on our station on April 28th. That's a Sunday. The VIP golf show with Murray McCourt and Curtis Stock returns to our airwaves on April 28th. Very excited to have that show back. We had it on TSN 1260, and technically it was the first show that we aired on EST before we full on launched. So Murray McCourt is back with Curtis Stock on the VIP golf show on Sundays here on EST. This text from I'll go to Nash in Whitecourt. Gets the last text of the night. Says, I'm not worried. Are you worried? I'm not. I am not either, Nash in Whitecourt. And I don't think YouTube Trev is either. Right, Trev?
No, absolutely not worried. This is a pretty solid team. St. Louis is not bad. You look at it, Colorado, they just lost to the worst team in the East, right? So it happens. It's the way the game goes. So they lost, whatever, they'll be back.
All right. And we'll be back Wednesday night, live on location, Hudson's Bourbon Street, 7:30 puck drop. We're on the air at 6 o'clock. Join myself, maybe a few of the other boys will show up. I think Lieutenant Eric, he likes to make his way down to Hudson's Bourbon Street because he lives so close by. So come down. I've got some GCs to give away. It should be a fun night. Great crew at that Hudson's locations. Both locations have been absolutely tremendous. So that's going to do it for the Oil Street postgame show. Edmonton falls 3-2 in overtime. They will look to bounce back as they wrap up this brief 2-game Central Division road trip Wednesday night against the Dallas Stars. For YouTube Trev and Matt Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thanks for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks for texting us. We will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.